Welcome to Working Together for Hudson. This is another one of our special episodes on COVID-19 update for the town of Hudson. I'm Diane Cannava, and with me today are Gary Gasdia, school board member, Kara Roy, Board of Selectmen, and we have here the Fire Chief of Hudson, Rob Buxton, who is the health officer for us and also is on the emergency management team. We're going to start right away with Gary about the school information.
Okay, thank you. First I just want to thank all of the workers in the school district. They've been working very hard over the past week, getting ready for what's coming up this week, which is remote learning. I've seen some posts out on Facebook of the people that are serving lunches to our kids. The custodians, the administration, really everyone has pulled together. It's been fantastic to see. And with that said, on Monday, remote learning will begin. So at this point, everyone should have been contacted. If not now, it would be very soon. And you would have received a link for the students, a link for the parents on how to access Google Classroom. The assignments will be out there, and of course, that will all begin on Monday. For our students that have, special education, they will have received a phone call for instruction there. Very important is that this is brand new to everyone, so really going to ask for some patience. We're definitely looking for feedback. This is not something that a week ago even existed, and so we just ask for some patience with everyone as together we get over some of those hurdles. I mentioned the meals, Monday through Friday from 10:30 to 12 at H.O. Smith. Any student is eligible to go pick up breakfast and lunch. It's grab and go, so it'll be delivered, and you only need to stop once a day. If an adult needs to go, they can do that. They just need to have the identifying information for the student. And then next week, as remote learning begins, we're going to be servicing any requests over the phone. So the SAU office and the school offices will be open by phone from 10 to 2. And we'll be doing anything from registering new children, anyone that needs to withdraw, any questions anyone has. So it's definitely going to be a little bit of a learning curve for all of us. But I thank everybody for their patience. And again, real heartfelt thank you to the teachers, the administration, the staff, and everybody else involved to really put something out there so that our students don't fall behind in this time.
Because we're on tape, it would be Monday, March 23rd, just to be sure.
Yes.
You know which Monday they're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's Monday, March 23rd is when the remote learning will begin.
Thank you,
Correct.
Gary. Kara?
So I too would like to thank both the employees and the citizens of the town for their patience in this ever-changing situation. We are continually getting updates and guidance and all kinds of things, and we're trying to keep up with that, and we're also trying to. I think our overall objective is to help strike a balance between protecting both our citizens and our employees with our obligation to provide services to our citizens. Chief Buxton has been an integral part of that. He stood up our EOC and he's been working diligently there ever since. And I know he has the latest and greatest information, so I will turn it over to him.
Thank you. Nice to see everybody this afternoon. A lot has changed since our last episode. The COVID-19 incident continues. We're now over 250,000 cases worldwide. The epicenter for cases has actually moved from China to Italy. And in the United States, we're tracking approximately 17,000 cases. And the epicenter has moved from Washington State to New York City, where they're recording north of 3,000 cases in New York. New Hampshire currently has 44 cases. I think when we were here last Saturday, we were talking about 13 cases. One of the major changes that has happened over the week is we're now tracking community transmission. So all of the 13 cases that we discussed last week were related to some sort of travel. okay? And so folks were either traveling domestically or traveling internationally. So we now are seeing some community transmission, so person to person, and that's stepped up our activities, right? Monday, we activated the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center for the town. That's actually located at 1 Constitution Drive at the police station in the Ann Seabury room. Your department heads and their second in commands have been working there diligently all week long, along with the school department. Superintendent Russell and his staff have been there, and they've been a great partner. We're very happy to see them. There have been some hiccups, right? So all the public buildings now have been closed to public access. And we understand that that is a major change for the way we deliver business. We're trying to, as Selectman Roy stated, strike that balance between providing service and providing some protection for our staff and our employees. Because if everybody's sick, we can't provide any service. So we're trying to find that balance point. We're actually moving to what we're attempting to identify as a virtual town hall. How many things can we move to online services? We spent the better part of a day and a half to 2 days talking about how to register cars in this community and how do we strike that balance between in-person versus online registration. The town clerk, Patty Berry, she was an integral part of that team identifying ways to make sure that we could service the public. Fire and police continue to operate emergency services at the same level that they did before. We have limited all or canceled all public education opportunities and all public accesses. So those types of things have happened. All town committees have canceled their meetings for the next 30 days. The Board of Selectmen is slated to meet on the 24th of the month on Tuesday evening. The governor made an executive order this past week that talked about how to do virtual board meetings. So if 2 members of the board needed to be offline and call in through remote access points, either the phone or video conferencing, they could accomplish that. And transparency, the executive order provides the Board of Selectmen a lot of flexibility in regards to going totally virtual, meaning they could stream the meeting totally. So that's a big change for the board as we identify those mechanisms and those opportunities to leverage technology to help us continue to provide government services, but at the same token, make sure we're keeping everybody healthy.
Just while you pause there, the school board is looking at the same thing, to go virtual.
Yep. There are hard decisions that are being made right now, and some of them are very hard and very near and dear to some of our hearts. Parks have been closed to public access. So Benson Park is closed. The dog park is closed. No landfill days right now for the next 30 days. Trying to identify the way to get those things done. How do you get service by the water and sewer utility clerks? Today there was a mail slot installed in the front door of Town Hall. It'll have a drop box on the back side so you can make sure registrations are getting dropped off and sewer and utility bills are being dropped off and those types of things. This is a very fluid thing. And that means that every day something is going to change. The day before St. Patrick's Day, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, executive order came down from the governor's office to close the bars and restaurants. The day before St. Patrick's Day at 4 o'clock. So when I say things are moving quickly, they're moving very quickly. And the message today is patience, right? We want to be able to get out and provide you service and give you accessibility to your government, because this is your government. But at the same token, if we're all ill, we can't provide those services. So how do we get that accomplished? So we're very happy with the support we've been receiving from the board. We did a special board meeting on Wednesday night?
Yes.
On Wednesday evening. The board took some actions. The EOC, or the Emergency Operations Center, will actually move to a virtual operations center on Monday. So we've had to stand up all those technologies. So we're practicing social distancing too. So the leadership of the community is able to continue to identify those points to continue those services. So that's basically our update that I have, unless I can answer any questions.
I just want to add that this is, as Chief Buxton said, a very fluid situation. So the things that we talked about closing the dump and closing the parks, at some point, we may be able to revisit those. But for right now, we believe that is the most prudent action that we can take. So it does go to patients, and if next week we can open them, that'd be great. But who knows what happens the week after that.
Correct.
So it's flexible, and patience is kind of the mantra of the day.
Yeah. If I could, just one last thing. If the public has inquiries and they're looking to speak with somebody, 211 is certainly a number that is being answered 24 hours a day at the state level. If you have a question, please reach out and look at the town's website. We have a COVID-19 and emergency operations tab right up in the top banner you can click on. You're going to see a whole bunch of information that has been updated. Next week, we look to stand up a program called Code Red, which is an emergency notification system. There's going to be some other opportunities on the website that we're very happy to report, where you'll actually be able to follow certain messages. So as updates go out, you'll get emails back in your inbox to say, hey, there was a change today, and what does that look like? The state of New Hampshire has also stood up a specific page on newhampshire.gov. So we put a little piece out there, and there all the CDC information is right on there, and any of the changes the state is having, the state government. So we're currently, if you look at our Facebook page, the town Facebook page, you'll note that there's been a request for some donations, which is huge, and because your first responders are short hand sanitizer and those types of things, and wipes. Because we just can't get them anymore, and there's a shortage across the state. So if you go to the Facebook account for the town and for the fire department and the police department, you'll see that there's some donation requests in there, and any help is greatly appreciated. And there'll be locations to drop stuff off at 2 of the fire stations that have a spot where you can leave it and not have interaction with the staff, and go forward from there. We are going to have a spot where you can leave your name, so we can make sure that we're following up with you afterwards and thanking you. So that is my last push.
That's great. Maybe you can clarify something
Sure.
for folks, because I think it all ties together with the closing of the parks and the closing of the schools. There's I don't want to say it's a misconception, and you can correct me if I'm
Sure.
wrong, but we closed the schools and we're closing the parks so that we're limiting the people that get together. And so there's some internal debate going on between parents. Should I have play dates? Can we go to the park? Should I get everybody in the neighborhood together and have a party? And I know my thought on it, but I'd like to hear from you. Like,
So
where should we stand?
Yeah,
on that?
so it's a great question, and I wish I could tell you the messaging has been consistent, right? So we closed the schools at the beginning of the week, and the Commissioner of Education talked about the ability to get 6 to 10 students together to work on a project. We're actually looking for you to limit those sizes. That doesn't mean that your kids can't be out in the yard playing with a neighbor, but at the same token, we really don't want you getting together in a big group. And that social distancing is very, very important, and what we're trying to do is level off the curve, right? We are not going to be able to stop the spread of COVID-19 overnight. But what we need to do is we need to be able to relax the healthcare system in New Hampshire so our hospitals don't get overrun. Because that is one of the things that is in great danger in Italy right now. When you look at the number of patients they're trying to take care of and their infrastructure, they just don't have enough hospital beds. So what does that look like? And the testing is very important. And we're short testing in New Hampshire, testing sites, and how's that go? There's a lot of third-party stuff that's coming out, and they're trying to stand up more tests, but what's the availability of getting those tests? And those are things we talk about every day. We have an 8 a.m. Conference call with the state, and testing is one of the consistent pieces across the board that continues to come up. So.
And if I may just ask you to clarify one more thing, because you mentioned testing. When you hear the number 44, it sounds very low, but we're not testing a lot of people, right? So that's not 44 out of...
That's 44 cases.
That's right.
And I didn't pull, and I apologize, I didn't pull a number. I had it last week. We've probably tested over 400 people in the state.
400. So
Yeah.
it's not like we've tested
Yeah,
a million people.
Yeah, and a lot of those have come back negative. So what's the positive blip? I don't have that, but
Right.
there have been a lot of negative tests. We talked about the trifecta the last time we were here, right? Cold and flu season coming to an end, allergy season starting, and now COVID-19. And that is certainly a triangle that is wreaking havoc on this area. So what is the test? And you may go to your primary care physician and they may say to you, hey, I don't think we can give you a test. It's because they're saving the test for somebody that checks all the boxes. And they have a very strict script that they're working off of. And it's very important to continue to follow that for those tests to be available for those that need it.
Great. Thank you.
Could you also clarify about the police department?
Sure.
And what their protocol is right
So
now?
the police department is business as normal. And what do I mean by that? They have limited their in the public face-to-face contacts within the lobby. So if you have a mailbox that is taken out, I think as the police chief used for an example, mailbox gets damaged and you need to call in a report, they're going to take that over the phone instead of having you come into the police station to see an officer face-to-face. But as far as emergency operations for the police department and the fire department, business is normal. We're there to serve.
So we'll see the cruisers around town as
Absolutely,
usual.
absolutely, yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a lot of behind the scenes, so to speak.
Yeah.
But we may not even notice that as people that just do whatever we're doing to keep ourselves safe.
Yeah.
But the idea of the town hall and being closed and limiting face-to-face, there was something about putting maybe a possible window in. What was that about?
So what we're trying to do is come up with a scenario where we can service you to register your vehicle. Certainly, we would love to see everybody flip over to online registration. That isn't always possible. And things that I don't think about as a fire chief, but the town clerk does, is if you buy a car in Massachusetts, you don't get a 20-day plate. Although they've relaxed some of the rules for 20-day plates in the state of New Hampshire, you don't get a 20-day plate if you're buying a vehicle in Mass. So how do you, and they need original documents to be able to
Yes.
give you a set of plates. So how do you get those plates? And they're trying to come up with mechanisms that says either through the mail slot, and they put in a pretty reasonably sized mail slot, or do we have an opportunity to utilize one of the windows that leads into the clerk's office to pass information in and out, so you can limit that exposure to the staff, but continue to serve the public. And that may be done on an appointment basis. So that plan is in development phase right now, and they're working hard and diligently on the backside to be able to continue those services.
Well, as you said, it's a very fluid situation. I do urge the residents of Hudson to go on hudsonnh.gov, and as the chief said, hit that top bar, get the latest information. And also with the SAU81.org, they also have an area for COVID-19. Keep yourselves informed. Check out HCTV, Facebook. There's a lot of information that may not be on any other place except there. Sometimes we take it from both of your situations, put it in one place. Then sometimes that's easier. But check every day so you're up to date, because we don't know what we said last week, if it's today, and what we're saying today is going to be the next time we meet. So keep yourselves informed. Do watch the broadcast of, I think is it March 24th, the next meeting that's coming up, that will be on the HCTV. Search the channel, we're not sure which one, but you'll find it there. Keep yourselves informed. You're in the house anyway, so TV's on, put on HCTV and keep informed. Plus the 211 if you have any informational questions you want answers to. Anything else, people?
Can I just add
Kara?
one thing? So if you can, reach out to your neighbor by phone, particularly if they're of a certain age, or they don't leave their house. You don't see them leave the house for long periods of time to even go out and walk in the yard. Just pick up the phone and call them and make sure that there's some interaction outside of the four walls of their house.
Yeah, because there will be that fallout about the mental stress and what's going to happen after with this slight depression we're all feeling right now, and where that's all going to go. We are very social beings, and to be locked up in the house, so to speak, especially with the children, they probably need more of a release than we would, but they can go out on the deck. They can take their skateboard walk around the house, count your steps, be creative. There's a lot I know the school has for websites they can go on and so forth. And we've got a few pictures of staff doing some funny things on HCTV's Facebook. Check it out. Mr. Beals today, some of the staff did a nice little song. You might find that interesting. He's put a smile on your face. And if that's going to be it, I really appreciate so much you people coming as you have to do this show for the town. And for those in charge on the emergency management situation, that team, we're thinking of you and our thoughts are with you. And stay safe and do that social distance thing wherever you go. Be careful at the supermarkets and places like that. Like you say, be kind, save some for other people. And I think that's about it, right, everybody?
Yes.
So we'll plan to be
Thank you.
back again the next time and feedback some of the information from some of these, the virtual meetings you're going to be having. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate
Thank
you
you.
being here, and Kara and Gary. And
Thank you.
that's it today, and we'll see you again the next time. Thank you for watching.